when we talked about the how much travel we need, and am I over biking? Do I have too much travel? Which by travel, it means how much the suspension moves, how big the bike is. We call that a big bike. And you were talking about the downhill racers needing downhill bikes, that those courses demanded a bigger bike. And we've been watching the Red Bull Hardline Tasmania, which is awesome.
Oh,
and I'm just wondering, like, what bike can you get away with? Could you do those courses on an enduro bike? The hardline guys, are those downhill bikes? Are those enduro bikes? And how much travel do they have? And could you get away with doing those courses on less travel?
I think that it really depends on the course. That's one. The hardline specifically, no, I don't think that you could get away with an enduro bike on the hardline. The chance
now, why
for
do you
a
say
mistake.
Because sorry, I should have
chance of
continue.
Let me interrupt you to ask you the same question that you're already answering.
Before you answer that, let me ask a question. Never mind. You were just go ahead and continue saying what you were saying. Please delete all of this.
I was going to say that the chance of making a mistake is just much too great at those speeds. You really are using all the suspension. They have teams. These guys aren't going there. They're not privateers. They have full teams of people, and there's just one person focused on this is your job as suspension. They have that stuffed out, and exactly. I don't think I saw a single enduro bike, and I wouldn't want to. Those drops and those big jumps are. First of all, the top two riders, Jackson Goldstone and Asa something from the United States, those two riders were leagues above.
Oh my!
And they're so young.
God, they're so fast. Did you see the clip of Jackson's crash last year where they showed his crash?
Yes. Oh my God, when he clipped the tree.
Oh my God, he's going so fast, and he just ragdolls. It's just you don't understand the speed.
I know.
We're used to seeing bikers fly by, but when you see the drone fly by, and it's 60 kilometers a mile, which is 45. I mean, it's just so fast, and everything is so big. Where do you need that travel? Are you going full compression just because of the speeds on the berms? I mean, I know there's tech on hardline.
Yeah,
and they're hitting drops, and some of the drops go into rock.
Yeah, exactly. The Tasmania hardline, which is the one that we're talking about right now, that's the most recent one, doesn't have as much tech as some of the hardlines that we've seen. But there's still some really big, chunky, nasty rocks, especially in the beginning. And some of the drops were right into the rock, and that's where you need it. You don't necessarily need it on those big jumps, especially if you're catching backside. But holy moly. And the other thing is, how much of having more travel helps. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was if you noticed, they were all pumping the terrain, aggressively pumping the terrain, where you and I would be scrubbing brake. These guys and gals were squishing into the turns, pushing into the downs. I wonder how much more travel helps with that, because you're able to squish in more and let up more, or is that a hindrance?
My guess would that's a really good point, because when you're on a pump track, the less suspension the better, right? If you have a full suspension bike on a pump track, the pumping absorbs too much and you lose energy there. I would think at this level that they could probably pump in and then use the rebound energy of the suspension as you're coming out of the suspension to get more speed. That's a good point. That's my guess. That is some next level stuff. If you're able to do that, that's probably what you have to do. And I know, and they're getting pedal strokes in just every little spot that you can. So do you think that course would be rideable by someone who's just a really good rider on an enduro bike?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt. It's just when you're going to those extremes, that's the issue, and the time gaps were insane. When you look at the fastest time and the slowest time, it's visually you can actually see the speed difference, and And so my point is, you can ride that course slower. The people that were toward the bottom of that list were almost a minute slower, that's just mind blowing to think that someone was a minute faster, but they were like 30 seconds to 45 seconds slower. At those speeds, you probably could ride an Enduro bike. I would assume. I guess we need to like talk to somebody that's done these things, you know? Yeah.
When you're watching that course and you're watching these racers, how many of these features are you looking at and thinking, could I do it? Does that cross your mind?
It does. It does. There's a few that I thought I could, and then they gave like a different shot. Like they at one point they showed the GoPro. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, never mind. It's so insane, dude.
Yeah. You need to be like, oh yeah, I spend a month at Whistler every year. At riding every day.
Yes.
And then you can start to get comfortable doing those sorts of big things. So yeah, we're unlimited. Anything's possible. Let's see how this manifests. Whistler staff, if you're listening and you want us to do the pod from your resort,
yes.
we can easily bring in another 4 to 5 people, I would say. So that's got to be worth something. Like Whistler needs help. But it looks like so much fun. It looks so much fun.
It does. And, I can't remember. One of the racers there was actually turning 40, and I can't remember who it was. It was, oh man, I can't remember. It was one of the guys that was in the top like 6 riders, and they said his age, and he was 40. So it's like there's no limit here, brother. There's no limit here. Absolutely. It's not going to be a deterrent.
We are absolutely unlimited, and we can get there. And there's age is not a limiting factor. Gender is not a limiting factor. Weight is not a limiting factor.
Yeah.
If we let go of the negativity, if we let go of the thought, the limiting belief system that I can't do that because of this and this, just let it go and just sit in that space of anything being possible. And just that unlimited potential. That's all we all are on the mountain bike and in life. Let's just let it go and see what happens. And it's a really cool space to live in. And then tapping into intuition, not worrying about things. I'm worried about, my hardline coming up in 5 years. No, if I get the hardline in 5 years,
that's a win.
I'll deal with it then.
That's a win right there. If you
First of all,
invited.
No, I don't want to be invited. I don't want to race it. But if we're in New Zealand in 5 years at the top of one of those hardline courses and like confident to do it, that's a major win. I don't even need to do it at that point. I'm just,
just turn around.
That was the goal, to be at the top in New Zealand with a bike, doing the podcast. Things are going pretty well, I would say.
Yeah. That's funny.
I can't wait. So.